We are back taking your questions about estate planning and wills. You can text them to the number at the bottom of your screen. All right, we have questions from viewers. The first one here: if I write my own will and get it notarized, is it legal?
Okay, so there's more to writing your own will than just a notarization. And so it depends on if it's a handwritten will or a typewritten will, whether you're trying to do what we call a holographic will, that's the handwritten will. And so to be honest, we don't really like to give a whole lot of advice on that because I think, there's some concern that you may do it wrong. And so to answer her question, no, that's not sufficient. That's the short answer. But I really think that you should seek the guidance of an attorney. There's some clinics that do them. The law schools do them. So if it's a cost issue, seek out some of the great resources we have in Guilford County and in Greensboro and get it done right.
I like that. Okay, the next question we have: I would like to put my daughter on my deed to the home. How do I do that?
Okay, so I'm going to go back to what I talked about a few minutes ago, where that may not be a great idea. So I'd love to see you get some advice before you do that and see if it's really the right thing. Because again, once you make your daughter a co-owner of your property, it's subject to her creditors, her divorces, her bankruptcies, her bad decisions. However, if you are going to do it, then you need to see a lawyer to have a deed prepared for you. And they can add them as a co-owner. They can add where you each own half. They can add them with the right of survivorship. But you should talk to a lawyer about that so that they can seek out why you're doing this. Are you doing it for Medicaid planning purposes? Are you doing it just to avoid probate down the road? Because real estate in North Carolina does avoid probate. So you may be doing it for a reason that you don't even have to do it.
Awesome. Okay, next question. My husband and I moved to North Carolina from Arizona. Is our will and trust good here in North Carolina?
So we do have what we call faith and credit, where we respect the laws of other states. However, if you die in North Carolina with a will from another state, we have to still prove that the will was written under the laws of that state properly, which means we're going to have to either go back and find the witnesses in Arizona, or we're going to have to get a lawyer to attest to the execution, that it was executed properly. So I typically tell clients it's probably safer to redo them in North Carolina. And we definitely like to see local powers of attorney. So again, we typically recommend that you redo them when you come here.
Okay. And then the next one from a viewer: what is the best way to change a beneficiary when the one listed in your will has passed away?
So if it's just like one small change like that, you can always do a codicil to the will, and typically the lawyer that drafted your will can do that, and it'll be like a one-page addendum, and they kind of staple it on top of your original will, and it works together to change that. But when you are doing a will, think about the what ifs so that you don't have to go back and change something every time there's a change. Like, so if this person doesn't survive me, then this next person gets that gift. And if you do that, then you're less likely to need a codicil later.
Next viewer question: if all my accounts have beneficiaries and my properties are in joint ownership, is a will still needed?
Well, I think one of the best reasons to have a will, other than if you have minor children, of course, to appoint a guardian, because that's really important, but also is to say who's in charge. So if you die, let's say, by a wrongful death in a car accident and somebody else's fault, and an estate's going to be opened in order to file that lawsuit, right, to collect for your family, then you've appointed the person who's in charge. So just that in itself is a good reason to have a will. Just a very basic will. You don't have to overcomplicate it if it's not needed.
This is, again, really good advice, information that people can get. We're going to keep talking about this. We have weather, and then we'll come back and answer your final questions.